Church planting is a vital part of our culture and future as a Berean Fellowship. Whether it's partnering with entrepreneurial pastors and missionaries to start new churches in needy areas, or whether it's partnering with established churches to pioneer new works in neighboring communities. Such is the example of what has recently unfolded in Sterling and Fort Morgan, Colorado.
Back before 2010, we had an elder meeting that we had designated as our 5-year planning meeting. And one of the key verses for us was Revelation 3:8, where the Lord's telling the church, "Behold, I've set before you an open door." One of the doors that we had considered in the meeting was actually being a part of a church plant.
Dan and several other guys had been looking at the community of Fort Morgan and seeing the need for a good Bible teaching church there. The elders got on board with this and thought this is an opportunity.
There was a resolve to pray about it. It took a couple of years before it actually began to develop and roll, we might say.
At that time, the Sterling Berean Church contacted us about the possibility of starting a church here in Fort Morgan.
We had never thought about church planting. That was never in our thoughts or minds at all, but we're willing to do whatever He called us to do and knew that He would be with us.
Our church is basically wanting to send Brent and Valerie, set them up, and give them every resource that we can give them.
I like to say it's kind of in the teenage stage where you want to provide enough guidance and encouragement and support because you know that they're not totally freestanding at this point, but we also want them to be able to exercise those leadership muscles in order to become self-sustaining.
The need to start another church in another town, in my view, is a missions project. Sometimes it's easy for me to view missions as overseas, far away, and forget about the next town over.
I think other Berean churches could use the same model. Obviously, just as a starting place, just start praying, God, where do you want us to start investing?
The Sterling Fort Morgan work is an exciting picture of what God is doing in the Berean Fellowship. And we believe there are some overarching priorities that guide us in this effort. The first is prayer. If God doesn't show up, what's the point? The second is partnership. We need churches helping plant new churches. The third is flexibility. In our approach to church planting, we truly need all kinds of churches to reach all kinds of people. And the fourth is to be steadfast in our mission, planting and strengthening churches to make disciples to reach the world.
As a church planner, the Berean Fellowship has helped in a variety of ways. We started at the assessment center, and since then we've been helped financially, we've been helped with encouragement, but the thing that stands out the most to me is the relationships. The ability to be able to pick up the phone and talk with Chris or have the pastors that have done stuff that you haven't before has been really key.
The vision for church planting in the Berean Fellowship is to simply build on the shoulders of the generations that have gone before us, to see new networks and regions of churches springing up across North America, and to say of our generation, by God's grace, the greatest thing we ever did in our life was to go out with the gospel as far as we could. Will you join us in the movement?